Hello, my name is John and I'm the founder of FUTcoaching. At FUTcoaching, we help gamers and esport athletes to unlock their potential by analyzing their gameplay footage with Nacsport. Our coaches then look at the data that has been gathered and make a video for the trainee so they can go back and look at the data with our analysis included. For all our data-driven analysis, we use Nacsport and of course the added graphical power of KlipDraw. And all it takes for a player to get our help is to record a video of a match, which these days all gaming consoles can do right out of the box. The player sends us the footage and we go and analyze it. Your Nacsport representative can tell you more about the templates we use to actually get the data coded in the footage. But today I'm going to demonstrate the end result as if you were the player receiving the feedback. The first thing we do after the coding phase, that's where we put all the data in, is watch our data matrix to see what really stands out. Then we'll add the standout data, including the footage, into a presentation, which we will present to our players. For this demonstration, I already made a presentation, but I included an image of the data matrix in this presentation to show you that as well. The next thing we do is to add animations, images, or text to these presentation points with the power of KlipDraw. And we use KlipDraw Animate for that. It's really helpful to highlight the things we want to explain. So I'm going to show you a presentation filled with a storyline, including a data matrix and animation, and let me shortly run you through these examples. So what you see here is an actual presentation with all the focus points we did. So we made three main headers. You can see them on the left side of the screen. Probably a little bit hard to read with the colors, but it says the focus points for the trainee, the negative dribbles, and trainee highlights. Or what we can do, you can see on under every category, there's a certain number. So there's 9 negative dribbles, there's 1 highlight, and there's 6 examples for focus points for this trainee. That's how we build up a story for the trainee to help them explain what's going on. And if you click on it, you can see on the right side the amount of options there actually are, and the clip lengths, and also our notes. So for example, if you go to trainee focus, on the top you see the first note is a data matrix. The second is, this is a finesse shot, which is not the shot the trainee should take in this situation, etc., etc., etc. So to show you this animation, to show you what we do in these things, we add or we enable the presentation mode. And what it will do, it will play all of the clips made in our full presentation. I'm not going to run you through every single thing, but the first thing that opens up is a screenshot we took from the data matrix. Normally we just show that on screen, but now I can explain it a little better. And what you see on here is the amount of data we coded. We just took 1/2 of a match to demonstrate this. But you can see that on the opponent side, we did 2 things. We coded a goal. You can see it on the right side of the screen. There's 1 goal coded here in total. That means 1 thing for the opponent. And on the trainee side, there is a lot of data, including positive, defensive, negative, or passing positive, passing negative, etc., etc., etc. In total, 63 points of data has been added here. And of course, you can see a total on it. So we, and my coaching team, which do it way better than I can, they look at the data and we think what stands out here. In this example, we see 6 negative passes for 38 positive passes. And in the world of FC25, that's actually a high amount of negative passes. So passes that go wrong. So that's something we want to focus on. The other thing we focus on is actually the focus points. You see 2 orange colored points here for us. If one of our analysts sees something that really stands out, they're going to code it in something extra. So for example, they see a negative pass, but this is the 3rd time they see that same scenario happen in a match. We add that under a focus header. So later on, all the focus points will be added to a presentation automatically. So there's also a little bit of coaching being done already while putting in the data in our search. But look at it as if we put in markers on a book. We highlight some of these things to make sure we can find it back. So we'll always present the orange points in our presentation, and we look at what do we see in the data that really stands out and add that to the presentation as well. That leads us, if we go back to the presentation for a second, this is the presentation, to the trainee focus points, which was one of those orange points, to the trainee highlights, which was the other orange point you saw, and the negative dribbles, which we added manually because they stood out compared to the positive dribbles, for example. Let's go back into the presentation mode. It starts again with the first animation. And what we see here are examples where we put in notes, so we can see it on the other side. We can see notes of what happened here, and we can talk about what we see. The next example has some included animations, and I think works better of explaining it here. One of the things that stands out with this match is that the player has a lot of negative passes or negative dribbles, basically loss of possession. And we wanted to give some examples on what he or she did where that went wrong, but also the options that they can improve upon or look out for. So the next example is that. And we already added the animations here, and I will freeze it on this situation. I can just go a little bit back. You saw the animation just plays. We can say how long the animation should take, how long it should hold. Honestly, normally when we talk on the video, we would just pause it and we show the animations like this to just show the highlights. But what you see here is there's 3 options available for the trainee to pass to, and they in the end decide to take a long ball, which almost leads to loss of possession. So that's one example. We go to the next example, which is a different situation, but the same kind of situation. They've got examples of playing the ball low or high. Those are the orange passes to the players next to them, but they choose to take a different options, and that option is an option that leads to a loss of possession. So we already have 2 moments where the trainee decides to take a pass which doesn't end up or ends up losing the ball from. And these all happen at the back line, and these all happen from a high ball instead of a ground pass, which is usually faster. Now, so we already almost have a trend here. We look at the third example. They have 4 options which are close by, which they could give the ball towards. And you already see here that the next thing they will do is they go for a long ball, which again will lead to a loss of possession, or at least a sloppy moment, loss of possession even. At this stage of the game, we could add a lot of more animations, we could add a lot more examples, but for the sake of this demo, you have now seen 3 examples for which we took out the data. The data shown us this is something we need to look at. We have 3 examples already with animations to show our trainee that there are options available when he builds up from the back, he or she builds up from the back. They can pass, do a ground pass to players near them, but they always go for the long option, and the long option usually leads to loss of possession. So our first training point would be, let's focus on building from the back through ground passes and make sure the rate of negative passes or passes that lead to a loss of possession goes down. So the higher the passes get, the higher passing percentages get, the more control they get, the least counters or the less counters they concede. That's basically how we take on training. And of course, we got a lot more examples where the same situations help. We can zoom to it. But basically, you can also add text as an example, which we made for that. For example, we think we tend to look at these defensive options like, hey, you give away a through ball, but actually it's the loss of possession again that causes that chance to be created for the opponent. It's not necessarily a defensive mistake. So we look at the situation earlier. But again, we took this example by looking at the data. We can do this for many things. We can do this for many examples. We have a lot of examples, of course, as well prepared. We got the same examples for the dribbles. We got the same examples for the highlights. We don't really need to go over it. What we can do is we usually make a video. We send the video to a trainee so they can, just as you are now, watch the video back, see those examples, and think about how they can change it or take our advice on how to change it. We can also upload it to the Nacsport hub, which just puts this presentation, puts it online. The trainee gets a notification on their app or on their browser, of course. They can get an email sent. They can just open it and go through them themselves, including all the animations. And that's how we at FUTcoaching make sure there's data-driven analysis available for every single trainee, from individuals that just want to get better at the game to organizations that we connect to the hub and constantly exchange data with. I hope this gave you a good example of the options Nacsport offers, including the power of KlipDraw and the services we provide at FUTcoaching. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and we'll gladly answer them.